Chaz, it's that time of the year again. Pitch is being ripped up as we speak. Just talk us through what's happening at the moment.
Bit strong words, ripped up. We're corrowing it off, we're phrase mowing it to re-energise the drainage, which is primarily what we do it for. Through the year we pump loads of fertiliser on to get it to grow, and we create anaerobic conditions, which if we were to leave for next year would affect the drainage, and it's all about making sure the drainage works. And be very simple, we play in the Football League. The Football League require us to have a pitch which is fit for purpose, and this is part of that, because if we lost one Saturday game and it had to be moved to a Tuesday, the cost of this would be, outweighed by the loss we would make as a club, plus the fact we would suffer interest from the Football League saying, well, why didn't you do the work? So this was always planned for this year. We did a lot last year. We invested heavily last year, which meant that this year we can do the minimum. We're spending the minimum amount of money we need to, because we have a responsibility, because we play in the Football League, and they require us to produce the best pitch we can, and that's what we're doing. But as I say, this is no change because of the finances. This is what we were going to do, and this is what we are doing, and it's all been agreed, and everyone's happy. So, but it is the minimum amount, and it'll all be done pretty much by tomorrow night, whereas it normally takes over a week. A couple of days. These boys will be in. There's a lot of kit here to get the work done, but it is all about keeping the drainage working and making sure that we don't seal the surface, and we re-energise it. So we are doing a full renovation. It will be a brand new pitch for next year, and it will be fit for purpose. And short of really bad conditions, we will get every game played. We won't have one cancelled for rain unless there's biblical rain. So which that can happen to anybody. So that is the reason. It's all about drainage.
You mentioned it there, but we spoke about it a few times in the season just gone, but the kind of heavy work that was done last season after we saw the corner we're in now suffer a bit with the rain. How pleasing was it to see the pitch kind of stand up through the season? And like you said, the works you're doing this time around will be able to still make a really good surface for next year. How pleasing was it to see the benefits of last year's renovation as well?
Yeah, massive. Obviously, it's a fairly new pitch to us. We've only had it a few years, and we're getting used to it, and we take advice. And we do everything that's suggested. We do the extra hard yards at this time of year. And as a club, it's important that we also get to play a few extra games in here. Even more important going forward, because the youth development policy, that's going to be sort of re-energised, if you like, and playing the under-21s in here, playing the under-18s in here, is really important, and all this work goes towards that goal of making sure we get as many games played in here as possible, so we can develop the club and we can keep to our true faith of developing within, and part of their journey is playing in front of a crowd. And again, that's another reason why we do the renovations and we keep the drains going, because we saw this year a very wet period where if we'd had a lot of games we'd have struggled, but the pitch held up really well, and it's an overall picture. It's not one or the other. It's working together as a club with an agreed policy to make sure we get the right people playing in here, so they can develop and go on to be very successful themselves, and that hopefully the knock-on effect is that we get success. Because we can then afford to do this again next year.
Just touching on the training ground as well, I think there's a bit of necessary work being done out there as well. Can you just give us an update of what the plans are for the pitches at the training ground this year? Okay,
so training ground is very minimal. We've taken on most of that ourselves, most of the renovations, the top dressing, the seeding, the scarifying. The one thing we have agreed we're going to do with the success of the irrigation on pitch 2, because we're not going to develop this training ground into a multi-million pound development. We've made the hard, tough decision that we're going to put the irrigation into pitch 1 as well, which we were hanging off for. But basically, we've negotiated a good price with the contractors, where they come in and do the work we can't do, and then they leave us with open trenches, and myself and my team will be reinstating those trenches. So we've taken out a chunk of the money. So all the time we're just trying to get absolute value for money, and also make improvements, you know, to the training facilities and moving forward. And with the view there that if things stay really tight, we could then do the renovations ourselves in years to come. Ideally, we struggle with the drainage work, but let's see where we go. But yeah, the priority was get irrigation in pitch 1, which will improve that surface. And the beauty of doing that is we can then concentrate our manual irrigators on the under-18s pitches, which will improve the facilities for them. So all about this, developing the facilities. My job is to get the best facilities I can get for our teams to play on, and if part of that is developing the youth, then I'm game for that, and that's where we went with that. So we'll be able to put more water on the youth pitches because it's manual, and we can do that, and then you know, the senior pros and the first team, you know, that'll be less work for us. So it's all about that. Let's develop, let's move forward, you know, not just with the playing side, but with the ground side as well. So and it's you know, we're all on the same page.
Brilliant, thank you.